What's up, guys? We're back with a full slate of MLB action here on Monday, July 29th. Kind of a typical Sunday out there yesterday, guys. Plenty of weird stuff going down. We finished off the day 3-3. We didn't get off to the greatest start. We had the Padres at plus 140. They eventually took the 8-6 loss in that game. They tried to make it close, but Vasquez was terrible in that game, and the bullpen continued to struggle, so not great stuff from the Padres, but we backed that up with a solid win on the Twins, minus 1.5. We saw Ober look unhittable in that game, almost 8 innings, 11 strikeouts, and a 5-0 win for the Twins. The Royals let us down again, guys. I don't know what's going on there in Kansas City. They lost 7-3 to the Cubs. Not a great look there. Seattle minus 104. That one came through, though. 6-3 win there. Miller looking great, and Crochet struggled once again, so starting to have some question marks about him. The Cardinals followed up that Seattle game with another solid win. We had him at minus 148, so not the best price ever, and it did take a Goldschmidt's walk-off home run in the 9th inning, but a solid start from Michaelis will put that win on the board for sure. Oakland couldn't get the job done for us in our last game of the day. Both of the starters looked terrible in that one, and the Angels just put up more offense. So 3-3 on the day overall. Honestly, guys, 3-3 on a Sunday doesn't feel like a complete disaster. Let's get back to work and find some value in the new week. Before we jump into the games, hit that like button, guys. It only takes 1 second and really helps the channel. If you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe. It's free and can notify you about new videos or anytime we go live. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today, and we'll give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. Our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Toronto Blue Jays going on the road to take on the Baltimore Orioles. In game one of this little Monday doubleheader between the Blue Jays and the Orioles, we're looking at Toronto coming into this game fresh off a 3-game sweep there of the Texas Rangers. Kind of crazy to see take that out. Kind of crazy to actually see the Blue Jays playing well right now, despite the fact they're kind of, selling some guys off and not exactly doing their best to compete right now. They're handing the ball in this game to Yariel Rodriguez, who's 1-3 this season with a 3.69 ERA. He's had a pretty decent season, and honestly, guys, his last 4 starts have all been very, very good. Not exactly taking on a murderer's row of opponents, but I mean, a good start against Houston and a good start against Arizona in there. Nothing to be ashamed of there. We all see the Blue Jays, not a great team, but they are 2-2 over his last 4 starts. So Rodriguez throwing the ball well coming into this game. I would also say, guys, that isn't where the the concerns for this pitching staff end, because their bullpen has been absolutely atrocious. Second worst in the majors with a 4.98 bullpen ERA. Not great stuff there. Definitely not a bullpen you can trust. If they get handed a lead, that is far from a safe lead. So definitely some major concerns there. The Blue Jays bats have been looking great recently, guys. They've scored 7, 7, and 6 runs respectively. That's all after getting shut out 13-0 in their last game against Tampa Bay. But at 49-56 on the year, this offense, guys, has not been the greatest this season. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is hitting 301. That's pretty nice. He just hit a solo home run there in their last game. But yeah, I mean, outside of him, where really is the production coming from? This team is 25th in the majors in runs scored, 20th in the majors, batting .238 as a team. They're in the bottom third of the majors in slugging percentage as well. Like, this is just not a great offensive team. They're swinging some pretty warm bats right now. Like, they come into this series playing well, but yeah, just not an offense that I can really trust at this point. And they're taking on the Baltimore Orioles, who got a desperately needed 8-6 win there against the San Diego Padres to salvage 1 win in that series and avoid the sweep. The Orioles are 62-43 this season, handing the ball to Zach Eflin, who's 5-7 this year with a 4.09 ERA. Obviously, this is a guy that they acquired via trade, so that's cool. We'll see how he looks. I mean, his last start was at Toronto back on the 24th. 5 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs in that one. So he's going up against the Toronto Blue Jays again in this game. We'll see what he can do out there. His last start against them was decent. I wouldn't say it was elite, though, and the Blue Jays are looking much better right now. So we'll see what we get out of him. Over his last 5 starts, it's been something of a mixed bag. He had a dominant start against Washington, but a bad start against the Royals. Like, 2 starts against the Yankees, one of them went very well, one of them went very bad. So, a very, very inconsistent guy out there. That Baltimore bullpen, guys, has not been nearly as good recently as it was early in the year. A 3.90 bullpen ERA has them very middle of the pack, so not really a bullpen you can trust at this point anymore. And while the offense did come up with 8 runs there in the last game of that series against the Padres, that has not really been the norm for them recently. Definitely some hitting woes for one of the best offenses in baseball, guys. They've scored 8, 4, 4, 6, and 3 runs respectively over their last few games. Obviously not terrible, but not exactly where they were at earlier this season. They're still 4th in the majors in runs scored and 1st in the majors in slugging percentage. So, this isn't a terrible offense, but they just aren't swinging the hottest bats coming into this game. So, look at the numbers for game 1 of this doubleheader. We've got the Blue Jays at plus 166, the Orioles at minus 198. We've got an over-under listed of 8.5. Toronto, they're a slight under team on the road, so we're not too interested in, that part of the situation for them, although they're swinging some pretty hot bats coming into this game and about to go up against a pitcher that we don't have a ton of faith in. Baltimore is a slight over team at home, and they're swinging, they're coming off a good game, but not exactly a good series. So in terms of the over-under, I shade towards over 8.5. In terms of the side in this game, Baltimore is a pretty sizable favorite there, and I don't have a ton of faith in Eflin, so not exactly a spot that I'm in love with here on Baltimore. Would I want to take the Blue Jays plus 166? Well, to be honest, guys, I think that's the value side in this game. I'm not super high on Rodriguez. He doesn't go deep into games, and that means lots of at-bats for the Orioles off of that Toronto Blue Jays bullpen, but really don't see a ton of value in this game. I guess I lean towards the over as the best value, but just generally speaking, not too interested in this one. So we're going to go ahead and move on here to game 2 of this 2-game series. Obviously, a lot will depend on what we see in game 1. It's listed right now that we are going to be looking at Bowden Francis going up against Cade Povich here in game 2. So with Toronto giving the ball to Francis, he comes into this game sporting a 5.82 ERA. He's a bullpen guy, so this is not really like 1,000% a confirmed starter in my opinion, but it's looking like game 2 is very likely to be a bullpen situation for the Toronto Blue Jays, which is obviously a huge problem since they're one of the worst bullpen teams in the majors. Cade Povich, a young guy, only 24 years old. He's had his ups and downs. He's taken some bruises here in his, rookie season coming out of the minors into the major leagues, but his last time out against the Yankees looked pretty serviceable. 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. Not a disaster there. Obviously a true disaster against Oakland back on the 6th of July, but he's had quite a bit of time off. He hasn't pitched since July 12th, so a good chunk of time to get his head right, get back out there, and maybe have a decent outing. So we'll be looking very hard at possibly taking the Orioles there in game 2, but we just have to wait and see what the pitching situation is going to look like. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Cleveland Guardians going on the road to take on the Detroit Tigers. The Guardians come into this game fresh off a 4-3 win there over the Phillies. We saw Steven Kwan hit a solo home run in that game, so that has to feel good for a guy that's had a little bit of trouble here recently at the plate. Cleveland has actually won 4 out of their last 6 games in series against Detroit and the Phillies, so we'll see how they do here in another series against the Tigers. Cleveland's going to be hitting the ball to Tanner Bybee in this game, who's 8-4 this season with a 3.50 ERA. His last start was against Detroit, guys. 5 innings, 2 hits, only a single earned run in a game we saw Cleveland win 2-1. So a very low scoring game. Bybee's looked great over his last couple of outings. He does have a start against Detroit back on the 10th where he went 7 innings, gave up 5 hits and 4 earned runs. That was a game we eventually saw Cleveland lose by 1, so yeah, maybe a little bit tough there. We'll see what they actually get out of him in this one, going back there to pitch on the road against the Tigers. Obviously, the Cleveland bullpen has been fantastic this season, guys. Tops in the majors with a 2.47 bullpen ERA, so literally no concerns about that bullpen for me whatsoever. The bats haven't looked great, guys. There's no way around it. Yeah, they were able to put up 4 runs there in the last game of the series, but 4 really isn't enough. You want to be scoring 5 or 6 runs a game to put yourself in a great position to be winning, and they've scored 4, 0, 3, 0, 2, and 5 runs respectively over their last several games. Their series against Detroit, the last time they faced Detroit, it was a 4-game series only a few days ago. They scored 0, 2, 5, and 2 runs respectively in that entire series. Not exactly what you're looking for. So a little bit concerned about this offense going into another series against the Tigers. They come into this game fresh off of a loss to the Twins, a 5-0 shutout loss. They haven't been having a great time recently, guys. They've actually lost 4 out of their last 6. They're 52 and 55 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Jack Flaherty, who's 7-5 this year with a 2.95 ERA. He's been throwing the ball great recently. Back on the 24th, he was starting at Cleveland. He looked great out there. 6 innings, 3 hits, only a single run, and it was unearned. 6 strikeouts and 2 walks. He hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs over any of his last 3 starts. 4 out of his last 5 starts have been excellent, and he's thrown the ball great against Cleveland 2 games in a row. So feeling very, very good with Jack Flaherty out there on the mound. The question for me in this game is what are we going to get from that Tigers bullpen? A 4.07 bullpen ERA is obviously not great, and they didn't have the greatest time against the Minnesota Twins. So yeah, some significant significant question marks for me going into this game for their pitching staff, or their bullpen, not their pitching staff. Flaherty looks great to me heading into this one, but yeah, the offense is not in a good spot, guys. Riley Green being out is obviously a huge deal. We don't exactly know when we're going to see him back out there. I mean, he's still in the 10-day IL. He was reportedly doing light fielding work on Saturday, dealing with that hamstring issue. So yeah, we don't know when he's going to be back. I think we can pretty much lock it in that it's not going to be this game. So yeah, not a lot of positive things to look at for the Tigers offense that has scored 0, 7, 3, and 3 runs respectively over their last few games. They're 16th in the majors in runs scored, 24th in the majors in batting average, and they're getting on base at a 298 clip. That is 28th in the majors. So yeah, just not a lot of positive stuff there. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see Cleveland at -110, the Tigers at -102. We've got an over-under in this game of 7. Yeah, a very, very low over-under number, guys, unfortunately. I mean, I wish it was like 8 and we would just slam it on the under, but 7 seems a little bit too heavy. Maybe even 7.5 we could take the under, but I think at 7 we might have to just avoid this over-under or maybe take the over. Cleveland is 30-27 on the road. Detroit is 25-26 at home. We see mixed trends actually here towards the over-under, with Detroit being a slight over team at home. But yeah, guys, I'm not too worried about that. I think this is more of, I mean, this could be an over game for sure, but I'm not going to be on the over. I'm going to be on the Tigers -102. I think we could see Bybee have a little bit of trouble here on the road against the Tigers. Although, man, it's a tough look there with Riley Green out. So yeah, this is an extremely small lean on the Tigers -102, and extremely small lean on that over 7. Next up, guys, we got the marquee game of the day. We've got the New York Yankees going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Yankees come into this game. They're currently playing against the Red Sox right now, but they're in good shape to get a win there on Sunday Night Baseball, up 5-2 in the top of the 8th inning. The Yankees are handing the ball in this game to Luis Gil, who's 10-5 this season with a 3.10 ERA. His last time out against the Mets, it seems like he's back on track, guys, because that's 3 solid starts in a row. Against the Mets, he looked great, only 1 earned run over 5 innings, and a Yankees 3-2 loss. That was not his fault. Against Baltimore, he looked great. Against Boston, back on the 7th of July, that's when he really got back on track, guys. 6 2/3 innings, 4 hits, only a single earned run. The Yankees lost that game 3-0. That was certainly not his fault, guys. He looked great out there. He had 9 strikeouts and 0 walks, so you can't really ask for much more out of a starting pitcher. So I think we can look at Gil as back to being a plus-level starting pitcher. What do we think of this Yankees bullpen right now? I mean, they've had their struggles lately. They're still a top 5 bullpen in the MLB, though. A 3.67 bullpen ERA is not a disaster. I'm expecting them to be pretty much okay here, despite going up against a tough hitting team like the Phillies. The Yankees offense is reportedly going to get a boost here. We're seeing reports that Stanton is going to be back here for this game. Obviously, that is a pretty big deal if he's back out there. We're going to be watching that one closely, but the last thing we heard was that Stanton was looking at returning on Monday. So I haven't heard any news of any setbacks. If you guys have, please put it down in the comments. But as far as I know, we're expecting Stanton back out there for this one, which gives this offense a big boost. So they're going to need to score some runs. They're going to need that boost going up against the Phillies, who maybe not having the greatest time lately, though, guys. They're coming off a 4-3 loss against Cleveland to lose 2 out of 3 in that series. They've now lost 3 straight series in a row. Like, that's a little bit embarrassing for a team that's supposed to be one of the best in the majors. They're handing the ball to Zach Wheeler in this game, who's 10-4 on the season with a 2.55 ERA. His last time out was no problem at all, guys. He shut out the Minnesota Twins over 7 innings, giving up 3 hits and striking out 7. He looked great in that outing. He's looked fantastic over his last 5 starts, and the Phillies are 4-1 over those 5 starts. No negatives really for me to be reporting here for Zach Wheeler. He hasn't taken on the Yankees this season, so no history there, but generally speaking, he's throwing the ball great. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same for the Phillies bullpen, guys. They're down in the middle of the pack here in the majors now with a 3.93 bullpen ERA, which is not great stuff for a bullpen that was among the best in the MLB at several different points this season. So that absolutely cannot feel good here. The bats also not looking great, guys. They did have 1 8-run game there against Cleveland, but they've scored 3, 8, 1, and 4 runs respectively over their last few games. Yeah, just not swinging the bats well, guys. They didn't have a great offensive series against Pittsburgh. They didn't have a great offensive series against Minnesota. This is a pretty prolonged slump. Like, this downturn has gone on over the course of 9 games. So yeah, just not feeling great about the Phillies at the plate right now. And they're not particularly banged up. It doesn't look like, none of their big guns there on offense are missing. So yeah, I expect them to get back on track at some point. Will it be in this game against Luis Gil? That seems like a big ask to me. So looking at the numbers of this game, we see the Yankees at +130. We got the Phillies at -154. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. The Yankees are 34-22 on the road. That's a great road record. The Phillies are 38-17 at home. That is an MLB best home record. So, got to take that into consideration a little bit. We see the Yankees are a significant over team on the road, with the Phillies being a kind of significant under over-under team at home. We've got two really good pitchers out there on the mound, guys, so looking at an over-under of 9 in this game, I think the play on that is definitely under 9, but I think the play in this game, guys, is the Yankees plus 130. I'm expecting good things from Gil. I'm also expecting good things from Zach Wheeler, so this is likely to be a close game and probably a low-scoring game, which makes me lean even more towards that under 9, but I do think the Yankees have a significantly better bullpen. They're probably swinging the bats better right now, to be honest, and getting Stanton back, all of those things combined make me like the Yankees plus 130 quite a bit. That's a very appealing price. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Chicago Cubs going on the road to take on the Cincinnati Reds in an NL Central showdown between the two worst teams in the NL Central. The Cubs come into this game 51 and 56 on the season, fresh off of winning 2 out of 3 at Kansas City, which is pretty impressive given that the Royals have been such a good home team all year long. They're hitting the ball in this one to Jameson Taillon, who's 7-5 this year with a 2.96 ERA. His last start was back on the 23rd against the Brewers. He was lights out in that start, guys. 7 1/3 innings, 4 hits allowed, only a single earned run. Very, very good stuff out there. He's looked very solid over his last 5 outings, so really nothing bad for me to say about Taillon right now. He is definitely throwing the ball well coming into this game. He has not taken on the Reds yet this season, so no history there, but overall, very happy with how he's throwing the ball. How happy are we with the Cubs bullpen? Well, over the course of the year, guys, they've been pretty steadily middle of the pack. They're trending in a positive direction right now thanks to a solid series there against the Royals, so they'll definitely take that. A 3.74 bullpen ERA is not bad at all. The problem for this team has been their offense. Over their last 2 games, though, they've combined to score 16 runs, so that will work. Is this a trend? Is this, like something we can count on to continue going forward? Seems like a bit of a reach there. I mean, Cody Bellinger, Christopher Morel, Ian Happ, these are decent hitters, guys, but can we really trust them to carry things? I mean, yeah, Bellinger was supposed to be back for that series against the Royals, but that did not happen, so obviously we can't count on him. Maybe he'll be back for this series, maybe he'll be back for this game, but we really don't know. If you guys know, please let me know down in the comments, but I'm unable to find any news confirming his, if he's going to be back or not going to be back for this one, and yeah, just not a great offense overall, guys. I mean, they're swinging some warmer bats now, so we've got to give them some credit here. They did get Paredes in a trade with the Rays, so they're looking to make some upgrades, looking to make some moves to make this team better, but over the course of the season, they're clearly a bottom third of the majors offense. So we'll see what we get from them at the plate. They're taking on the Reds, who come into this game fresh off of losing 2 out of 3 against the Tampa Bay Rays, scoring a combined 4 runs in that entire 3-game series. Not a great look. The Reds, man, they've had their ups, they've had their downs this season. They're currently in last place in the NL Central, hitting the ball in this game to Carson Spears, who's 3-2 this season with a 3.83 ERA. He got a clean MRI on his shoulder 15 days ago. He was reportedly only going to miss 1 start. The last time we saw him on the mound, guys, was back on the 12th. He looked good against the Marlins. I mean, decent, I guess, but maybe not elite. Obviously, if you're dealing with a shoulder issue, you're not going to have the best time. He's reportedly healthy for this game, but that feels a little bit questionable to me. It just feels a little bit sketchy, like a dude coming off of a shoulder thing can't necessarily be amazing. The last time he faced the Cubs was back on June 9th, and he was dominant over 5 2/3 innings, so we'll give him credit there, but how healthy is this guy going out there for this game? We're just going to kind of have to wait and see. And how is the Reds bullpen looking? I mean, they're holding things together here, no doubt about it, guys. I mean, they did everything they could to keep their team in games against the Rays. They looked great in their series against Atlanta. This is one of the better bullpens in the MLB with a 3.45 bullpen ERA. The question for this team all season long has been their offense. I mean, only scoring 4 runs over a 3-game series isn't great. Obviously, right back off a cliff after that good series against Atlanta. This has not been a great hitting team over the course of the season. They are 15th in the majors in runs scored, but 28th in the majors in batting average, guys, and 22nd in the majors in on base percentage. So just not an elite offense. And look at the numbers for this game, guys. We see the Cubs at -110. We see the Reds at -104. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. That's an interesting number. It is at the Great American Ballpark, so we have to take that in consideration for sure. But yeah, we've got 2 pretty decent looking pitchers out there, especially Taillon is good. So that does make me lean towards the Cubs a little bit, except for that Chicago is 24-31 on the road. The Reds are only 25-28 at home, though. So, got to take something from that. They're not exactly a dominant home team. We do see both teams showing trends towards the under as well. The Cubs are 28-24-3 to the under on the road. Cincinnati is 28-22-3 to the under at home. Guys, under 9 in this game might end up being my bigger bet of the day. I do like it quite a bit. All the trends are pointing towards it. I'm expecting decent things from Spears. As long as he's actually healthy, we are kind of trusting that he really is healthy, but the Cubs bullpen's been looking better lately. The Reds bullpen's been great for months now, so go ahead and give me under 9 in this game. I think we're going to see offense be at a premium. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Minnesota Twins going on the road to take on the New York Mets. The Twins come into this game fresh off of winning 2 out of 3 there at Detroit. They won 5-0 in Game 3 of that series. Thank you, Minnesota, for covering that 1.5 number. The Twins are handing the ball in this game to Simeon Woods-Richardson, who's 3-1 this season with a 3.27 ERA. He's coming off of a very good 6-inning start against the Phillies, guys. 6 innings, 3 hits, 0 runs allowed. He struck out 5 and walked 1. Unfortunately for him, we did see the Phillies grab the 3-0 win, though. So, yeah, all of his efforts there went for nothing. But generally speaking, he's been throwing the ball really, really well over his last 5 starts. Absolutely no doubt about that. He hasn't been a guy that's gone deep into games all season long, but he has been lately, so give him credit there. In general, the Twins bullpen, maybe they've had a little bit of a downturn lately, but a 3.75 bullpen ERA is not a big problem for a team whose bullpen was in the bottom third of the majors for quite a while this season. So they'll take that while they can get it. This bullpen's been looking better lately. The offense obviously missing a pretty key piece there in Carlos Correa. We don't know yet when he's going to be back out there on the field. I mean, he was wearing a walking boot, but that update is from 10 days ago or something like that, from quite a while ago. So we'll see when he actually gets back out there on the field. Generally speaking, this offense hasn't been a disaster recently. I mean, 5, 2, 9, and 5 runs respectively over their last few games is not awful. So we'll see what they can do here in this game. They're taking on the New York Mets, who come into this game 55-50 on the season, fresh off of splitting a 4-game series there against the Braves. They're, trying to make headway there in the NL East, trying to make some noise here. I mean, they're a lot better looking team now than they were in the first half of the season, that's for sure. They're handing the ball in this game to Jose Quintana, who's 5-6 this year with a 4.02 ERA. He's coming off of a very good start at the Yankees, guys. 5 innings, 3 hits, only a single earned run in a game we eventually saw the Mets win 3-2. So good stuff there. He hasn't exactly been lights out, though. I mean, he had a bad start against Colorado, so that's a bit concerning. He did have 2 great starts there. Those are some pre-All-Star game starts against Washington. He looked dominant in those. He has yet to face the Twins this season, so we'll see what they can do with this veteran left-hander. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried about him out there. Not a ton, though. I mean, he bounced back from that bad start against Colorado to look good in his last one, so definitely give him some credit there. The Mets bullpen, generally speaking, has been trending in a positive direction for quite some time, but it just doesn't seem like they're going to be among the better bullpens in the MLB with a 4.12 ERA coming out of the pen there. The strength of this team has been their offense, but it's still completely deserted them over their last couple games, scoring only 2 runs combined over their last 2 games versus Atlanta. I mean, over the course of the season, this is looking like a borderline top 10 offense. 6th in runs scored, 12th in the majors, batting .248 as a team. They are 10th in the majors with a .321 on base percentage. This team with Francisco Lindor leading the way for them right now, they're a decent hitting team, don't get me wrong. We'll see how they fare here going up against the Twins and Simeon Woods-Richardson. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Twins at +104, the Mets -112. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Minnesota is a decent road team, guys. 29-25 on the road. The Mets are 28-27 at home. They're a team that struggled at home for a while, but seems like they've kind of figured that out. No major trends towards the over-under. With these 2 starters out there, I would tend to look maybe towards under 8.5, but not a big lean there. I would say my biggest lean in this game, which is not a huge one, would actually be on the Twins +104 in this game. But yeah, guys, I think this is a pretty close spot. I don't think there's a ton of value to be had here, so this will not be going in the pinned comment. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the Boston Red Sox. The Mariners come into this game fresh off of a 3-game sweep there at the Chicago White Sox. So yeah, not exactly a crazy thing to dominate the White Sox, but they took care of business. They are 56-51 on the season, tied for first place in the AL West with the Houston Astros. They're hitting the ball to Logan Gilbert in this game, who's 6-6 this year with a 2.72 ERA. His last time out was a start against the Angels, and he actually had a pretty rough time, guys. He went 6 2/3 innings, gave up 4 hits and 5 runs. Only one of them was earned, so this really wasn't all on him, but just not a great game for Seattle in general, and they lost that one 5-1. They are only 2-3 over his last 5 starts, but I would say maybe only one of those was really his fault. So yeah, not going to be dumping a bunch here on Logan Gilbert. The dude has been very, very good this season. Absolutely no doubt about that in my mind. His first start of the season back on March 30th was against Boston. He was lights out over 7 innings in that one, but obviously that is ancient history at this point, so not a ton we can take from that, but at least he might have some confidence facing the Red Sox in this game. The Mariners bullpen looked good in their series against Seattle, no doubt about that. They obviously haven't been one of the most dominating bullpens in Major League Baseball all season long, but they have held steady, guys. A very steady bullpen, a 3.65 bullpen ERA. They've been very close to that all year long, so consistency in a bullpen is an awfully nice thing to have. Consistency in their offense would be fantastic for this team, which just completed maybe their best offensive series this season. I would have to look back back and check, but they scored 6, 6, and 10 runs respectively in their 3 games at the Chicago White Sox. So it was the White Sox, but hey, they're trying to upgrade this roster a little bit. They're adding pieces. We just saw Arozarena have 2 hits. He went 2 for 4 there in that game against the White Sox, the last game of that series. So it seems like the addition of him to this team really could pay off in a big way for a squad that's been great pitching but terrible at the plate. So we'll see what kind of difference that makes in this series here against the Red Sox, who come into this game looking like it's going to be fresh off of a loss there to the Yankees on Sunday Night Baseball, which will mean they dropped 2 out of 3 to the Yankees in that series. They're 55 and 48 on the year, handing the ball to Nick Pivetta, who comes into this game 4-7 this season with a 4.50 ERA. His last time out, guys, he got absolutely obliterated at Coors Field. The Rockies just took him to school. 2 2/3 innings of work, 10 hits, 8 runs, 7 of them were earned, 2 home runs against him. That was that game that the Rockies scored 20 runs. So pretty crazy stuff there. I mean, I don't think we, are looking at Pivetta as some sort of horrible pitcher. He also was involved in that March series against Seattle there, where he went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, only a single earned run. So yeah, ancient history, like I said, about the history there for Logan Gilbert. We're not going to take a lot from that. Pivetta hasn't exactly been throwing the ball amazing lately. I mean, he had that terrible start against the Rockies, then a good start against the Dodgers. Before that, he had a terrible start against the Oakland A's. So I mean, he's been very up and down, very inconsistent. The Red Sox bullpen has also had some problems lately. They're down in the middle of the pack now with a 4.02 bullpen ERA. Obviously not having a great time at this exact moment, kind of getting shelled by the Yankees. So yeah, not a pen that I'm super excited about right now. And the offense, I mean, they did score 8 runs and 9 runs and 7 runs. They're putting up some numbers, but they kind of feel like they're wasted numbers in games that aren't particularly close. So I have a hard time saying how good this offense is really swinging the bats right now. I mean, over the course of the season, they're clearly a top 5-10 offense somewhere in there, but yeah, right now maybe not swinging the hottest bats. So some concern in that, in that area. So look at the numbers for this game. We see the Mariners at -104, the Red Sox at -108. The over-under in this game is 8.5. Seattle is only 25 and 28 on the road. Boston is 25 and 26 at home. Generally speaking, in this game, guys, I'm leaning, unfortunately, it feels like, towards the Mariners -104. I know they're not a very good road team, but I'm not very happy with how Boston is swinging the bats right now. I'm not very happy with just how they're playing in general. Seattle's a decent team. They're in desperation mode. They're adding players. Arozarena could make a big difference for this team. Maybe a change of scenery will help him. We'll just have to wait and see. I do love how Logan Gilbert is throwing the ball, so go ahead and give me Seattle as a small lean in this one. Is it going to end up in the pinned comment? I know it might sound crazy, guys, but I think it's got a chance. Nick Pivetta seems pretty bad to me. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Texas Rangers going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Rangers come into this game fresh off of getting swept there in a 3-game series against the Toronto Blue Jays. Kind of embarrassing stuff. They did just add a catcher in a trade, so we'll see how Kelly can do there to help out the Rangers, who are 51 and 55 in the season, handing the ball in this game to Nathan Eovaldi, who's 7 and 4 this year with a 3.31 ERA. He's coming off a very good start against the White Sox. Yeah, guys, it was the White Sox, but still 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, and 10 strikeouts. Nothing to turn your nose up at. That was a big bounce back appearance after getting shelled by the Baltimore Orioles. So, they'll definitely take that. He's pretty much been their best starter over the course of this season. He has not faced the Cardinals yet this year. No major shocker there. Over his last 5 starts, he's looked very, very reasonable, guys. The Rangers are 4-1 over those 5 starts, and really the only bad one was against the Orioles. So, expecting decent things from him here. What are we expecting from this Rangers bullpen? Well, not a lot of great stuff, guys. They are 25th in the majors with a 4.37 bullpen ERA. Obviously, they looked a bit worse here in this series against Toronto, so not a lot of major improvement coming down the pike for that bullpen, in my opinion. So, yeah, just more and more bad news. We saw Gray exit with groin pain and some warm-ups there. So, yeah, just not a lot of good things happening right now for the Texas Rangers, whose offense hasn't been great either, guys. I mean, in their series against Toronto, they scored a 3, 3, and 5 runs, respectively, all in losses. This is not a great offensive team, guys. Slightly below average at best, so definitely some question marks surrounding this team at the plate. They're taking on the Cardinals, who come into this game fresh off of winning 1 out of 3 there against the Washington Nationals. Goldschmidt hit a walk-off home run in the 9th inning. That had to feel great for him and kind of great for the whole fan base right now. They've had a rough time losing 3 out of their last 4. They're now 6 games back of Milwaukee there in the NL Central, so that NL Central race is looking a little bit tough for them. They're handing the ball to young Andre Palante, who comes into this game looking pretty good, guys. Fresh off of a great start there at the Pirates. 6 innings of work, 3 hits, only a single earned run allowed in a game we eventually saw the Cardinals lose 2-1. So pretty embarrassing stuff there. Honestly, over his last 5 starts, I would say 3 of them have been excellent. That one against the Royals maybe left a little bit to be desired, but he kept him in the game, so, kind of doing his thing out there. This is a young guy, so you can expect some hiccups, but he's looked very good recently. The Cardinals' bullpen has been excellent, guys. They've had some struggles over the last, I would say, 10-ish games, but a 3.66 bullpen ERA, not a disaster for a bullpen that was really, really bad in the early season. So they'll definitely take the development that they've gotten out of the bullpen. I think they'd also be very happy to find some more offense, guys. I mean, they scored 4, 3, and 8 runs respectively in that series against Washington. Game 1, they should have won. The bullpen blew that one, but yeah, just not swinging the hottest bats right now. Obviously, great to see Goldschmidt's hit a home run. This team is crawling up there. It's been slowly getting better at the plate all season long. They're 13th in the majors in batting average, but 24th in the majors in runs scored and 20th in the majors in slugging percentage. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Rangers at -115, the Cardinals at +104. We got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. The Rangers are only 22-32 on the road, guys. That does not exactly fill me with confidence. The Cardinals are a decent home team, 26-24 at home. In terms of the over-under here, we see that both teams showing trends towards the under in this exact situation. The Rangers are 28-24-3 to the over on the road. The Cardinals are 26-24 to the over at home. So if you wanted to ride those trends and take a look at over 8.5, I guess you could. But with these two starters on the mound, I don't really love that. And to be honest, guys, in this game, it's a very weird spot. I mean, what are we going to get from Palante? Are we going to see another, dominant outing here for Eovaldi? It's a bit of a tough ask either way. I think I'm leaning towards the Cardinals +104 at home. Maybe this is just a homer pick, though. Overall, not a spot that I'm super interested in. Just not a lot of consistency from these two teams at the moment. And yeah, I don't really trust Palante enough at home. And I don't really trust the Rangers in general. Once Eovaldi comes out of this game, their bullpen's pretty bad. So yeah, slightly lean towards the Cardinals, but pretty much just a stay away spot. Moving right along, guys, we've got the Atlanta Braves going on the road to take on the Milwaukee Brewers. The Braves come into this game fresh off of winning the last 2 games of that series against the Mets to split the series 2 games apiece. The Braves are 56-48 on the year, so not exactly killing it right now. We just saw Lopez have to go out of his start early. He's getting an MRI, so yeah, that's not a good sign at all. The Braves are handing the ball to Grant Holmes in this game. He's sporting a 2.70 ERA this season. This is obviously a bullpen guy. His last time out against Cincinnati didn't go amazing, but yeah, generally speaking, he's been good over the course of the season. Obviously, his last couple of outings haven't been great, but yeah, this is a bullpen guy, not a starter, so we're looking at pretty much just a bullpen start from the Atlanta Braves, which isn't a terrible look, guys. Their bullpen is sporting a 2.90 ERA over the course of the season. That is some pretty nice stuff. If it's a full bullpen situation, they're not too worried about, just running through the bullpen here in the first game of this series. I think we can expect some pretty decent pitching from them. The question for this team right now and recently has been, where's the offense? I mean, they scored 9 runs in their last game, so that has to feel great, but over the course of the season, it's been a bit of a struggle here in the last, 70 or something games at this point. They're 18th in the majors in batting average, batting 239 as a team. They're 22nd in the majors in runs scored. Ozuna is doing what he can. He's up to 30 home runs now, and he's still batting 306. But man, it is a big ask to carry an offense the way that he has had to. So we'll see what they can do here going up against the Brewers, who come into this game fresh off of a much-needed 6-2 win there over the Miami Marlins. They're 60-45 in the year, kind of cruising along there in the NL Central. They're handing the ball to Colin Ray in this game, who's 9-3 this year with a 3.60 ERA. His last time out was at the Cubs, and he was dominant over 5 innings. 5 innings, 4 hits, no runs, and 8 strikeouts in that game. So very, very good stuff there. No major notes for me about Colin Ray. He has looked good out there. Has not faced the Braves yet this season, so no worries there. In general, the Milwaukee bullpen has been very good this year. A 3.31 bullpen ERA. Nothing wrong with that. In their series against the Marlins, maybe they didn't have the greatest time, but it just feels like sometimes these decent teams take series off against these worse opponents, or at least that's kind of how it feels to me. Obviously, their offense takes a big hit here. The Brewers' offense not going to be the same without Yelich in there. They're still 9th in the majors in runs scored and 6th in the majors in batting average. But yeah, guys, missing one of your big bats has to feel pretty freaking bad. So looking at the numbers of this game, we see the Braves at +108, the Brewers at -120. We got an over-under of 8.5 in this one. Atlanta is 26-27 on the road. Milwaukee is 30-19 at home. We see very differing trends here towards the over-under. Atlanta is a big under team on the road, and Milwaukee's one of the biggest over teams at home this season. So not super interested in the over-under in this exact game. I do think there's some reason to take a look at the Brewers -120, since we've got Cleveland doing a full bullpen start and putting a guy out there to start the game that hasn't exactly been very good at all in his last couple of outings. But yeah, guys, this is just a pretty weird spot. I'm leaning towards the Brewers -120, but is this going to go in the pinned comment? I'm not really sure yet. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we've got the Kansas City Royals going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox. The Royals come into this game fresh off of losing 2 out of 3 there against the Chicago Cubs. Losing 2 out of 3 at home, not really what the Royals are supposed to be doing. They're handing the ball in this game to Alec Marsh, who's 7-7 this year with a 4.75 ERA. His last start was against the Arizona Diamondbacks back on the 23rd of July, and he looked terrible. 5 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned runs in that start. Yeah, not great there. I mean, his appearance before that was a relief appearance against the White Sox, and he was dominant. I mean, dominant being 2 hits over 1 inning, so yeah, not exactly dominant. Yeah, just not a guy that I have a lot of faith in right now, and just not a guy that I've got a lot of faith in this season in general. So pretty worried about Alec Marsh. Also worried about that bullpen, guys. The Royals bullpen not having a great time, down to a 4.27 bullpen ERA. Just not a pen you can trust. They are going up against the worst hitting team in the majors, so that might help. But yeah, just not feeling great about the Royals pitching staff at the moment. Also not feeling that great about their offense. They combined to score 7 runs over their last 2 games against the Cubs. So yeah, I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. doing his thing. Salvador Perez, 19 home runs, 12th in the majors in runs scored, but these are all offensive numbers that are trending downwards, guys. I mean, they're still batting .251 as a team, but that's not a number that's headed in the right direction. 11th in the majors in slugging percentage, 19th in the majors in on-base percentage. Like, just doesn't feel like an offense that I can trust right now, but they are going up against the White Sox, guys, who come into this game losers of 14 in a row. They're handing the ball in this one to Chris Flexen. He's 2-10 this season with a 5.25 ERA. His last time out was against the Texas Rangers, guys. 4 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs. His last couple of starts have looked very problematic. Back before the All-Star break, he was looking good. But, you know, how much can we really expect that to continue? And good, it seems like a bit of a stretch. Just not somebody that I have a ton of faith in right now. I mean, the last time he pitched against the Royals, guys, was back on the 19th. He went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits and 7 earned runs. He walked 5 in that start. Like, just a lot of issues for this guy. Not somebody that I really feel like I can trust. And the last couple, like both times that he's faced the Royals this season, he hasn't done great. So that leaves us leaning on the White Sox bullpen, which has been terrible this season. A 4.69 bullpen ERA is pretty much a disaster. No doubt about that at all. And the offense isn't there to pick up anything, guys. Dead last in runs, dead last in batting average, dead last in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 278 clip, and they're also last in slugging percentage. Like, this is just a terrible offense. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Royals at -164, the White Sox at +145. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. The Royals are only 21-27 on the road. That is not great. The White Sox are 17-37 at home, though, guys. That is an MLB worst home mark. That is pretty bleak stuff. In terms of the over-under, we do see both teams showing pretty significant trends towards the under, and with an over-under of 9, you might want to take a look at that under, guys, but generally speaking, in this game, there's a bet that I like more, and that is the Kansas City Royals -1.5. If you take them -1.5, you can get them at -105. I think they're going to come out swinging in this game. I think they're going to put up a bunch of runs. What are we going to get from Alec Marsh in this game? Not really sure. He's going up against the White Sox, though. They're pretty terrible. You would think he could put together something against the worst hitting team in the majors. So, yeah, guys, I do like the Royals -1.5 or -164. This is a very legitimate shot to end up in the pinned comment here, as I'm expecting good things from their offense, if not from Alex Marsh. Although, man, even the Royals bullpen and Alex Marsh should be able to hold the White Sox in check. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Pittsburgh Pirates going on the road to take on the Houston Astros. The Pirates come into this game fresh off of a 6-5 win there against Arizona. They did have to put Gonzalez on the injury list there with a groin injury, so yeah, losing your second baseman probably doesn't feel great, but at 53-52 on the year, they still feel like their season is alive. Handing the ball to young Paul Skeens in this game, who just took his first loss of his career on a very good outing there. So yeah, tough stuff there to go 8 1/3 innings and just look lights out and end up taking the loss. But generally speaking, he's thrown the ball amazing here over every single start that he's had. 6-1 on the season, 1.93 ERA, nothing wrong with that. So expecting great things from Skeens as always, and pretty much expecting bad stuff in that Pirates bullpen as always as well, because a 4.32 bullpen ERA leaves a lot to be desired. The offense is gonna have to pick him up, guys, if Skeens doesn't go super deep into this game, and he did go super deep into the last one, so that's a bit of a concern. The Pirates have scored 6, 5, and 3 runs respectively over their last 3 games. Obviously missing Brian Reynolds. We'll see when he eventually comes back. A little bit tough. I mean, losing your best hitter would mess up any offense, but yeah, losing him is a real problem there for Pittsburgh. So we'll see what they can do heading into this game against the Astros, who come into this one fresh off of winning 2 out of 3 there against the Dodgers. They did lose the last game of that series 6-2, so that probably doesn't feel great, but at 55-50 on the year, they're tied with Seattle for the top spot in the AL West. They're hitting the ball in this game to Jake Bloss, who's 0-1 this season with a 6.94 ERA. He's He's made 3 starts this year. His last one was at Oakland, not a good one. His second to last one back on the 11th was at the Marlins, or at home against the Marlins actually. Not great stuff there. 2 earned runs over 4 innings on 2 hits, and he gave up a home run in that one. He's pretty prone to the long ball. Maybe that won't be a huge problem here against a team like the Pirates, but yeah, Jake Bloss, not somebody I have a ton of confidence in. The Houston bullpen is headed in the right direction, guys. They're in the top half of the majors there with a 3.69 bullpen ERA. The offense, obviously coming off a game they scored 2 runs, is not great, but they've scored 2, 7, 5, and 8 runs respectively over their last few. Altuve hitting the ball well. This team is second in the majors in batting average and 9th in the majors in on-base percentage. So expecting decent stuff from them at the plate. Looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Pirates at -158, the Astros at +134. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. Houston, kind of surprisingly, 1 game above 500 on the road. Houston's a pretty good home team though, guys. 30-22 at home. In terms of the over-under, we do see trends towards the under here. I mean, Houston 28-21-3 to the under at home. The Pirates 26-25-2 to the under on the road. I do think under 7.5 has some value in this game. I don't think we're going to see very much offense from Houston, at least when they're going up against Skeens. Once they get into that Pirates bullpen, though, things get a bit sketch. I do think the Pirates -158 is worth a look in this game because, Skeens. But overall, this isn't a game that I see ending up in the pinned comment too much. I think my biggest lean in this one is the under because of how little I trust the Pirates bullpen. Last but not least, guys, we've got the Washington Nationals going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Nationals come into this game 49-57 on the year, fresh off a tough 4-3 loss at the Cardinals. They're hitting the ball in this one to Mitchell Parker, who's 5-6 this year with a 4.34 ERA. His last time out was against the Padres. He did not have a good time. 3 innings pitched, 7 hits, 6 earned runs, just very, very rough stuff. His last 2 outings have been very, very bad. So very concerning stuff here for Mitchell Parker. We're also seeing some problems here from the Nationals bullpen that's been relatively solid over the course of the season. Their ERA is up over 4 now, and they're just not having an amazing time at the moment. The offense, guys, they looked great in that series against the Cardinals, scoring 3, 14, and 10 runs respectively, but can we really trust that to continue? I mean, 19th in the majors in runs scored. They're kind of trading some guys away too, so they're not trying to get better. It seems like they're kind of actively trying to get worse and build for the future. So I've got some questions about this team right now, and they're taking on the Diamondbacks, who come into this game winners of 4 of their last 5 overall. They did lose the last game there against the Pirates, losing 6-5, but handing the ball in this game to Jordan Montgomery, hoping that he and they can get back on track after that loss. He's 7-5 this year with a 6.11 ERA. He's coming off of a nice bounce back start there and a win against the Kansas City Royals, a win that the Diamondbacks got there 6-2. He went 5 innings, 3 hits, only a single earned run. So generally speaking, he's looked a bit better here as of late, and over the course of the season, has he had some hiccups? Sure he has, but he hasn't been a disaster guy, and that's kind of what the Diamondbacks need with their, bullpen not being very good either. This isn't a great pitching staff. The bullpen's trending in a positive direction. A 4.24 bullpen ERA, though, lets me know they still have plenty of work to do. This offense has scored 5, 9, 4, 8, and 6 runs respectively over their last few games. They are second in the majors in runs scored, 5th in the majors in batting average, batting .254 as a team. This offense can absolutely get it done. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see that Nationals at +142, the Diamondbacks at -164. We've got an over-under of a 9 in this game. Washington, 4 games below 500 on the road. Arizona, 3 games above 500 at home. No huge over-under trends. I mean, we see Arizona is an over team at home, so maybe you could take a look at over 9, but that seems a bit questionable to me. So in general, guys, I'm going to be siding with the Diamondbacks -164 in this game. If you wanted to look at their price -1.5, that's if you think Parker's going to have another terrible outing. You take a -1.5, you can get him all the way up to +122, +125, somewhere in that region. So that seems a bit enticing, but maybe a little bit greedy. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.